Hello Harry Potter fans, welcome back to the Potter Collector channel where we are a community of collectors. Today I'm going to show you my signed Harry Potter book collection. Before we start, I want to talk a little bit about counterfeit signatures. J.K. Rowling's signature is faked a lot. If you are looking to purchase a signed Harry Potter book and are not sure of the signature, it's always best to ask for help. I am willing to help. There are also some other collectors in this community that I would trust. I have had 17 years of studying J.K. Rowling's signature and about 15 years collecting her signature. And in that time, I have seen some good counterfeits and some really bad counterfeits, as well as, unfortunately, a lot of collectors being taken advantage of. There are not a lot of things that make me more mad than seeing a collector who is excited to purchase a signed Harry Potter book be taken advantage of. So I give you warning, be careful if you are purchasing a signed book. If a signed book has a certificate of authenticity, that does not mean it is authentic. If a signed book is expensive, it does not mean that it is authentic. I have set up a section on thepottercollector.com that has a J.K. Rowling police report, and on that report I have put a few sellers that you should avoid. I am hesitant to give out too much information about J.K. Rowling's signature as I don't want to provide tools to counterfeiters. The bad side to that is you guys don't get to build tools yourself. So the solution to that is to do what I did. Go out there and do some research. Compare examples to the examples that I provided on my website. If you have questions about J.K. Rowling's signature, feel free to ask me. And as always, constant vigilance when purchasing a signed Harry Potter book. There are 15 J.K. Rowling signed Harry Potter books in the Potter Collector collection, and one very special one signed by Mary Grand-Pré, who is the illustrator of the US Harry Potter books. I'm going to start with the Mary Grand-Pré one. This is the 10th anniversary edition of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. It was released October of 2008, and when it was released, I had someone very special sign and doodle in my book. Miss Mary Grand-Pré, and she says, "For Peter, always look for the magic." How cool is that? So awesome. She rarely doodles in her books, so to have this is an insane honor. For the J.K. Rowling signatures, I'm going to go in order by year, starting with 1997. This right here is probably the holy grail of my collection. It is a first printing paperback of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone with a 1997 signature. This is J.K. Rowling's very first signature variation. Before she was known, before Harry Potter was famous, before the world knew his name, she signed this book. This signature variation is exceptionally rare. It's thought that between 10 and 20 of these first printing paperback books were signed with this early variation of her signature. Now you may be wondering about the description. J.K. Rowling's oldest daughter's name is Jessica. So she signed this book to another, referring to her daughter, Jessica. As you can see on this signature, the J and the K and Rowling are not connected, and there's a period between the J and the K, and Rowling is, for the most part, spelled out. J.K. Rowling had to change and evolve her signature over time in order to be able to sign more books faster. The 1997 variation is by far the rarest signature variation that you can purchase. Now be cautious when purchasing a 1997 signature, because it may look like a 97 signature, but may actually be a 1998 signature. Why? Because J.K. Rowling continued the J period K period variation through early 1998, which you will see here in addition to this awesome dedication to Jane, who looks like a Weasley. But as you can see, J.K. Rowling has already started to evolve her signature. So she's no longer spelling out Rowling, but we still see that disconnect between the J, K, and Rowling. You can find this early to mid 1998 signature variation on first printings of the UK edition of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets as well. Next up, you're going to see quite a dramatic change in her 1998 signature. During J.K. Rowling's first US tour for Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, we start to see the signature connect. The J is connected to the K, which is connected to Rowling. We no longer see the periods, and just like the early to mid 1998 signature, she is no longer spelling out Rowling. This signature can be found on a first and second printing of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. There is a signature variation between the early to mid 1998 and the late 1998 that you just saw in the Sorcerer's Stone book. However, I don't have an example of that, but you can check out my website for a J.K. Rowling signature timeline, which shows an example of that transition signature. Next up are two books that came from a boxed set, a 2-book box set that was released around Christmas time of 1998. You were able to purchase these sets at Waterstones in England. Here's an example of a late 1998 signature from Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. What you're seeing in this signature is somewhat of a transition between 1998 and 1999. So what we see in 1999 signatures is a larger O. Specifically, the British books, we see a larger O. And another late 1998 signature in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. We are now into early 1999. This book is really special. I had seen it years ago listed for sale. Sadly, I wasn't able to purchase it at the time, but it showed its face again and I snatched it up. This book was signed to an Alistair, and it says, "To Alistair, I forget stuff all the time. J.K. Rowling." You'll notice that J.K. Rowling signed and dedicated this piece of paper and it's pasted into a book. The story goes that Alistair forgot his book at home when J.K. Rowling was going to be visiting his school. Alistair provided a note with this book and it says, "I forgot my own book that day, and she kindly obliged with a custom note that I hence stuck into my book." Can you imagine that moment, right? You're a little kid, you forgot your book, you're very sad, you're a big fan of Harry Potter. I can imagine this moment, right? So all of the kids are lined up, it gets to Alistair's turn, he has this piece of paper and says, "I'm sorry, Miss Rowling, I forgot my book at home. Will you sign this card?" She probably looks at the card, thinks for a second, and says, "I forget stuff all the time," and then gives it to him. It says, "I forget stuff all the time, Alistair." How cool is that? I love knowing the history behind all of the books that I have in my collection. And this one in particular has a very cool history behind it. So there's the story for that book. Now we're moving into J.K. Rowling's second US tour in 1999. This is the moment that J.K. Rowling realized just how big Harry Potter had become. She talks about pulling up to her first signing in the United States, where she saw blocks and blocks of people lined up outside of a store. She turns to her publicist and says, "There must be a sale going on." Her publicist responds, "No, Joe, these people are here for you." And that was the moment that J.K. Rowling realized just how big Harry Potter had become. These next two books are from that tour, J.K. Rowling's second US tour in 1999. I have a copy of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Now what's interesting about 1999 tour US signatures is that they are somewhat sloppy. A lot of them look very rushed, very quick, because there were thousands of people and thousands of books that needed to be signed. So J.K. Rowling really had to ramp it up and sign a lot of books. In my copy of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, it's a 1999 signed bookplate, one of Scholastic's earliest bookplate versions that you can find J.K. Rowling's signature on. Here is that bookplate. Something I want to say about bookplates. A lot of collectors believe that if a signature is on a bookplate, it's authentic. That's not true. We have seen a huge boom recently, specifically recently, the last couple of years, of counterfeit bookplates. People are copying these bookplates, making them up on their computers, and slapping fake signatures on them. Just because a signature is on a bookplate does not mean it's authentic. You still have to authenticate the signature on the bookplate. There is a way, though, to easily authenticate J.K. Rowling's signatures. We'll get to that in just a little bit. We are now moving into the year 2000, and one of my favorite signed books is one that is dedicated to Charlie. One of my favorite names, as you might have guessed, J.K. Rowling. Charlie, of course, meaning Charlie Weasley. So here is that phenomenal signature and dedication. I love J.K. Rowling's handwriting. Isn't it beautiful? It's like just awesome. It's quick and connected and I love it. Can you imagine though reading a manuscript of one of the books that is handwritten by J.K. Rowling in this handwriting? I think I would die. But back to the signature. So here we are starting to see a very bold signature. J.K. Rowling's year 2000 signature variation was very bold and is one of my favorite variations of her signature, if not my favorite. Next up is a copy of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which of course was released in 2000, with a 2000 signature in it. And this signature, I talk about boldness of her 2000 signature. This is like bold as you can get. Look at that gorgeous signature. I love this signature. See, I talked about how I think the 2000 is my favorite. Clearly it's my favorite. Look at this, look at how bold this R and L are. It's just so pretty. Most of the signed Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire books that you find with this signature variation are first edition, first printings. You can find 2 variations of the books. It's just the printer, everything inside is the same, but about 2/3 of all of the first edition, first printings of Goblet of Fire were printed by Clays. The other third was printed by a place called Omnia. Omnia is a rarer book to find, especially signed, and does add a small amount of value to the book, not significant. So if you're looking for the rarest variation of Goblet of Fire to be signed, look for one that was printed by Omnia. Many of these signed Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire books also come with a golden ticket, what's known as the golden ticket. So this was given out to people who wanted to have their books signed, and they would have to bring this ticket to the many locations during J.K. Rowling's Hogwarts Express book tour. The back of the book is also signed by Mr. Giles Greenfield, who did the illustrations for Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, as well as the concept for Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Speaking of the Hogwarts Express book tour in the year 2000, I have a very cool book with a very cool story. This is a book that is rarely found signed because it was published late 2000. J.K. Rowling's last major book tour was the second book tour in 1999. Then she came back in the year 2007 for Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. We saw a very long dry spell of J.K. Rowling book signings in the United States. She did come for Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, however, that was for a very limited group of people. But back to the Hogwarts Express book tour in the United Kingdom, this book was signed to J.K. Rowling's nanny at the time. The book says, "To Eva with lots of love and thanks as ever," and then it's signed Joe, or J.K. Rowling, and she crossed out her name, J.K. Rowling, and put in Joe. So this is really a double signed book. As I mentioned, Eva was J.K. Rowling's nanny at the time during the Goblet of Fire book tours. We've made it through the year 2000. I do not have any signed copies of Order of the Phoenix, Half-Blood Prince, or Deathly Hallows, mainly because I sold the copy of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows that I had. I know. Bad Potter collector. But what I do have is a 2005 example of J.K. Rowling's signature on a book plate for Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. This is an unused book plate, but as you can see here, you see that change from the 2000 signature variation, that bold variation, to 2005. I may no longer have a 2007 variation signature. However, I do have a 2008 variation of J.K. Rowling's signature, which happens to be on this beautiful book right here. Tales of Beetle the Bard Collector's Edition, one of 100 signed and numbered by J.K. Rowling to help support Children's High Level Group, which is J.K. Rowling's charity. If you have not seen the unboxing of this book right here, which I have wanted since 2008, I acquired it this year, which is 2018, 10 years later. Check it out right up here. Here you will find a 2008 variation of J.K. Rowling's signature. I mentioned an easy way to determine if a J.K. Rowling signature is authentic or not. At the release of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, J.K. Rowling started to place official holograms inside books that were signed by her. The very first hologram looks like this and has the date 21/7/7, which is July 21st, 2007, when Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows was published. Soon after that hologram started to be used, she started to use this hologram right here, which as you can see has her name on it. You may have also seen a video on this channel of this book being unboxed, The Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them screenplay, one of 10 that J.K. Rowling signed to help raise money for Loomis during the Loomis campaign. Here you will see that hologram on here as well. This is a 2017 signature. I just realized that I have one more signed book that was signed in 1999. It's a copy of Chamber of Secrets in German. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about Harry Potter books, what you saw today, please feel free to leave a comment below. I will do my best to get back to your question. As I mentioned earlier in this video, please be very cautious when you purchase signed Harry Potter books. Constant vigilance. Now it is time to like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, keep collecting. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, welcome. You can subscribe right up here. You can also look at some previously posted content down here. If you have any questions about Harry Potter books or collecting, please feel free to contact me. I'm always happy to help. But for now, I must go. See you next time.
Whoa, where'd he go?